Hi, what's up? We're in the second part. Please go check out the previous part to gauge your bearings, okay? I don't want to be long in the second part because these days I'm just not long anymore. Anyway, I'm busy talking about the fruitlessness of the human race in their impatience, and how it is that when they get their hands all muddied, grubby and dirty, they then want to go and counsel everybody here in these streets to do the same thing because it eventually works out. I'm dealing with a whole bunch of people, and I spoke about how it is that indeed things do work out ultimately because God, His common grace makes it work out. He loves the human race. He gave us His only begotten Son because of that love, that we might not perish but have everlasting life. The common grace of God, because of the love that He has for us, ought not cause us to be complacent in sin. It ought not cause us to take sin for granted, just roll in it, because God will make it work out anyway, because His common grace always pours out on humanity. Things ultimately work. I'm speaking about people right now who are looking at me like a Dumbo little rando girl because of the fact that I've been waiting all these years on Christ, and right now I'm presently very exorbitantly and exquisitely attacked by demonic abuse that has made me tired. It's caused me pain. My body, yesterday I spoke about nausea, headache, but it's currently dissipating. I can tell that it's simmering down. But all of these attacks are coming at me from people who have told themselves, if you can't beat them, join them. They are human beings that imagine that they have borne lots of fruit. They have acquired lots of gifts from the occult, and they are looking at me like I'm this fool that is letting all of her life and her years come and go because she's busy waiting on a Jesus that's cost her her entire 30s. And they are trying to create a business case around the notion that, but it eventually works out, Karabo, because look at all the people that used korobela on their spouses. Look at all the people that had babies with men that they did not quite, it was not number one. It was not the woman or the man that I really wanted to have children with, but we did it. But now the kids are so amazing. The kids are academics in school and they came out all right. People who actually had teenage pregnancies and those kids did not starve, did not have malnutrition. They were raised by grandparents and now they're in high school and the mom is now independent. She has her own apartment, her own car, and she lives with that child that she had when she was just 17, type establishment thing. They look at situations like those, how it is that things eventually work out, because indeed the common grace of God makes sure that things eventually work out. And they say, Karabo, seeing as things eventually work out, why don't you just take what it is that you are allotted, take whatever it is that you're given, and just run with it, because things always work out. Otherwise, you're gonna look back and have seen your whole life come and go, nje, get taken away from you, ripped from underneath your feet, nje, and you will regret not having a baby earlier with just any sperm donor. You will regret not marrying that dude that came and was prepared to basically put you in his house and make you a Stepford wife. Because now you're no one's wife. Now you're nowhere. Now you are this old woman who had all these desires that were never fulfilled. Why don't you just do what we all did? Compromise, settle. Be idolaters against Jesus. Yeah, that's what's good. But it worked out. I'm a mother of 3. Look, it worked out. And I've got like a husband over here. Not first price, but it worked out. I basically have got all the makings or markings of a person that has lived. I have got the markings of a person that has lived, because as a woman that's 45, I've got children to show for it, and I've got a husband to show for it. As a man that's 40, I have got 6 sons to show for it. As you get my point. Yeah. Here it is that you're sitting around waiting. And in the first part, I was speaking about how it is that just because something can be done does not mean that it ought to be done. Because even though it does work out, why would you want to make life so hard? Why under heaven would you want to create so much scorn? There is a woman that contacted me that was lamenting, mourning about how it is that her husband just won't stop with her with black magic. And she was burdened for her daughters because they're worried about her. And every time she looks at her daughters, she stays her own hand from hurting herself because she's worried about her kids. That's a woman that has something that I don't have. A husband. That's a woman that has something that I don't have. Children that love her. And that's a woman that has something that I don't have. Children that she loves back. And yet that is a woman that is miserable, staying alive and strong for daughters that are worried about her because her husband is busy with her with black magic. That is hard. That is not an easy yoke. Neither is that a burden that is light. That is you lacking patience to be found by a man who finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord, otherwise known as a wife. That's you lacking patience to wait for a wife, for a husband, right? As a wife. And then marrying the dude that rocks up quickly and takes out lobola engwe yamhlaba to your family members, and then put some babies in your stomach who then later on becomes the bane of your existence. Either cheats like no man's business, or you know that he's involved in black magic, but you can't do anything about it. I nearly married a man like that, some dude from the US. He was my fiance for all of 5 seconds. He was a baby daddy outside with some females, some of the children of which he didn't even own up to. The Lord showed me in my spiritual gifting. But he only owned up or fessed to 2 kids, one of which he wasn't even actively taking care of. He was divorced twice. This dude wasn't, he was in and out of prison, blah, 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 all that jazz. I thought he was like a whole reformed Christian, a man that had seen the error of his ways. And because he took care of me, provided for me, essentially awarded me that which nobody else was awarding me at the time: love, care, respect, and provision. I told myself, Karabo, I mean, he wants you as a wife, he wants to marry you, and he's taking care of you. Why under heaven would you say no to this? I would have married a man that would have slithered into my life, first and foremost, used witchcraft to manipulate how I feel about him. And then he would have gone on right ahead to put, I mean, he also turned out to be HIV positive, but let's just say even the HIV did not happen, because that's the reason why he started acting awry. He went and tested, came back positive, realized that he can't be with me, and then started to abuse me because of the fact that he couldn't be with me, and then try to come back and try to get me to be on PrEP, just a whole bunch of random stuff that dude did, okay? But let's say the HIV was not even a factor. I would have gone on right ahead to marry a man, do you understand what I'm saying, that indeed would have put babies in my stomach. Indeed, I would have finally gotten that dream come true, to finally have children. But I would have ended up like that woman who contacted me asking me to pray for her because her husband is just this voodoo practitioner. Well, the guy in America was into voodoo, but her man was into some other form of black magic. I get to be the kind that you practice here in these South African streets. Black magic, I get to be bongoma or whatever. A man that's manipulating you with spirits like no man's business, and you suspect it. Just as that woman that contacted me suspected, she knows that her husband is involved in black magic with her. She knows that he is busy manipulating her. And she's in that, and she can't get out. Top of that, she does not have her own independence, her own career. She cannot move out. She cannot pay her own way. She is basically stranded. There is no way she can leave, because then she would be out on a limb. She would be on the streets. That's what I would have been subjugated to if I had married that guy in the US, because I would not have had my own ability to make money. He blocked a lot of my prospects. He made sure that my YouTube channel goes nowhere. So he would have been manipulating me materially. He would have been manipulating me financially, making sure I can't make my own money, so that if at all I wanted to get out, I wouldn't be able to. And then on top of that, my daughters and sons, my kids that would have come from him, would have always been burdened for how depressed perpetually their mom is. So I would have gotten my desires, but they would have brought death. I would have ultimately walked in the desires that I wanted. I would have had the marriage, and I would have also had the children. Those are very strong desires of mine right now. But like, they would have come so warped. They would have been eerie, haunting. And I would have been stranded with a satanic man that, hey, but like, he put a ring on it. Hey, he put babies in my stomach, donated some sperm. Hey, he's feeding my children. Hey, he's also feeding me. Hey, he's putting clothes on my back. Hey, he's putting a house over my head. Hey, proper. It's hard. It would have been hard for me to be married to a devil worshipper. It would have been near on impossible for me to have any peace and joy at all. I would have been a bereaved Christian, married to an animal. Do you understand what I'm saying? The Lord, however, broke me and that man up, because the Lord saw that I was compromising, I was settling, due to the fact that I was looking at my biological clock, and I was also looking at the time that was progressing, my sorrow, my pain. I wanted to get out. I was in so much pain that I wanted any relief at all. And the Lord was like, over my dead body, my daughter waited. My daughter waited. And this man is stealthy, he's pernicious. Top of that, she's not even aware yet that he's into witchcraft. Ultimately, the Lord would reveal all this stuff. He would manifest a lot of demons. He even ended up testing positive for HIV, blah, blah, etc. This guy was the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. But I was at some point trying to basically reason or logic the very same way that everybody around me is currently trying to get me to reason or logic, or currently the way that they are logic, like reasoning. It eventually works out. It eventually works out. Girl, you get to have the children. Girl, you get to be married. You get to say, my name is Karabo, not Hlongwane, whatever the surname might have been. Yeah, eventually it works out. Sometimes it does. And for my sake, chances are, if at all the Lord had allowed me to fall into that which he never could have, because he is faithful, yeah, he would have, for my sake and for the sake of my children, made it work out anyway. I would have been with a man that I'm not all that in love with. A man that would have made me miss my ex-boyfriend, for crying out loud, because he would have been that unloving and he would have been that ominous. A man that would have given me children. I would have been able to experience motherhood, pregnancy, all that jazz, and God would have made it work. But I would have been a struggling wife, A woman that cannot afford herself. A woman that has to go to a man for every last rand and cent I need. I need $1,000 for this. I need 4,000 for this. I need this and that. I need a man that also every so often likely punishes me with money. Because he was an abusive man, he was extremely manipulative. So he might have even used money against me when he felt like I was not acting like a good little girl. That would have been basically me fulfilling the recommendation of that female from my first part that I spoke about, who was counseling me to just get a boyfriend and have a baby since I want one so badly. I would have gone on right ahead or do one up on her, never mind get a boyfriend but a husband, but one that would have been so nefarious, so diabolical, that I would have been a miserable wife, and all her counsel along the lines of Karabo, it'll eventually work out, would have fallen in my particular life into the pit of hell, because I would have been the one person that took that bad advice that ended up a dead wife, or the one person that ended up a wife that murdered her husband, or the one person that ended up murder-suicided with her children by a bad man. Like all this advice that you keep on giving people, it eventually works out. Sometimes it does, because the common grace of God applies. But sometimes you put a person in a dangerous situation like the one that I almost ended up in. All in the spirit of a lack of patience. Like, it's not that Jesus is giving us all these rules that are hard to follow. It's for our own sake. Sin is forbidden because it is bad. It is not bad because it's forbidden. Do you understand what I'm saying? The ramifications of it are exquisite. They're extreme. And a lot of people experience the consequences of sin in mild capacity all throughout their lives because of the common grace of God. But there are others who experience the consequences of sin in such an extreme, severe capacity that these become the ones that cause bad advice to really, really be regretted. When you regret advising a woman to accept the proposal of a guy that she suspects of strange activity, that she suspects of either infidelity or of using witchcraft or of whatever, or of just not being the right dude or being irresponsible or being a criminal, like a woman that has a hunch, a gut feeling that I can't, Lana. And then she gets advised by her girls, no girl, just go back. That's the kind, there are some ramifications of bad advice that result in a lot of regret, because this chick then ends up killed by a bad man. Or this woman ends up contracting a disease from this horrible dude that she suspected was philandering in these streets all over the show, fraternizing with the whole office. And now she is passing away with full-blown AIDS, leaving her teenage children with no mother since the dad passed away 4 years prior. So now the kids are orphaned. Type of decisions that people regret ultimately. But for the larger majority, for the better part of the time, the decisions that you make in all of this wickedness of yours bear minimum consequences, where you just end up married to some dude or borang, but like the two of y'all have got these 4 beautiful children. And so you're able to pretend like you're a happily married couple. The consequences are not so dire, but in some instances they get really dire. It's when your bad advice gets dire that you wish you hadn't advised the person. So for me, it's why under heaven would you insist on making your lives so hard, all in the hope that, seeing as for the larger majority of the time things ultimately work out anyway? Why would you put yourself in a position to take that risk, especially considering you limit the amount of joy you can actually get in the end? Sin is forbidden because it is bad. The consequences of it are ridiculous. People trying to bewitch me into settling. Do you know that yesterday when I was moisturizing my face in the morning after washing it, with my eyes closed, I had a vision of all different kinds of adult paraphernalia. In the middle of witchcraft spells that are operating, I tend to get seen what the intention is behind the sorcery, or what is the thing that is intended to inspire fear in my bones. And as I was moisturizing my face, I closed my eyes and I had a vision of adult paraphernalia, sex toys, essentially. I saw a whole bunch of sex toys just flailed in front of my face. And I understood immediately what in the world I was seeing there. I was being threatened with a sexless life, where it is that I would be so frustrated that I would end up purchasing toys and basically humoring myself, seeing as there is no man here for me. That is the witchcraft concocted by some people trying to get me to just take anything that comes in these streets. Because Karabo, unless you don't want to end up basically pleasuring yourself in the future, you will take at least a human being or pilayo that has a whole heartbeat that you can play with in your stride, whether or not he is according to the specifications that you gave to Jesus Christ. I saw that vision and I was like, get behind me, Satan. Demolish arguments and every lofty pretension that exalts itself above the Most High, and hold into captivity every thought to the obedience of Jesus Christ. The devil is trying to threaten me with a pleasureless life because I won't take his servants in my stride. The servants of which are trying to get me to settle for what they are, because apparently nothing is coming through for me. Nothing is coming through for me. Just as when I was 22, I could not fathom the prospect of getting inside a taxi, 7 months pregnant, without having my own vehicle, without having medical aid, and then out here having a baby in a public hospital. If at all I could make such sober decisions without Jesus, I was yet to be born again. It was responsible for me to refuse to give a man a baby when I was still in that position, trusting that at least my mom will supplement the diapers for my baby. If at all I can't afford to pay them with my call center salary. I was broody, but I didn't have a baby because I realized then that it was irresponsible. I was not yet ready. How much more now, when I am a 39-year-old single woman that is entirely unemployed, never mind working at a call center. I'm entirely unemployed, and I've been unemployed for years. I'm also severely persecuted. I'm also always going through a lot of spiritual attack, a lot of spiritual war. And that war, I am making it with the kingdom of darkness by myself, and what spiritual war I am presently in because of a lack of support as well. Every so often I'm moody. I am moody because I'm always just battling demons. So I can't stand the company of people around me. I just want to be alone in prayer. Alone in prayer. And when they even twitch or glitch in a certain direction, I get irritated. That's the climate that I am in right now. So basically I am a powder keg for postpartum depression. I am a powder keg for postpartum depression. I am a massive threat of being an unloving mother because I am so demonically oppressed. I have got to conquer this feat, this valley of the shadow of darkness that I am presently in. If I don't conquer it, I cannot be safe as a mom. I will have depression during pregnancy, at delivery, and afterwards. I will not be able to love the very children that I want from God if I don't conquer this hurdle. If also I don't have a supportive, loving husband who is going to be there with me, the two of us ride or die, and together, consecrated, pray for our family, each other, our children, our own spiritual war that we enter into. Unless I have got a partner in Christ, I am not going to be able to be a good mom. I cannot be a Christian. We can't lose our salvation. Let's just put that out there. So I cannot be a Christian woman married to an ungodly man and not have the devil come at my children and at me. I will perpetually be demonically abused by my own husband. I will perpetually be demonically oppressed by the man I am married to. And therefore, subjugating my child or my children to the tyranny of all of that demonic possession and oppression, because of the fact that mom decided to go and be unequally yoked because she was 39, turning 40. And she was scared of being confronted with the prospect of walking into an adult shop and buying a sex toy. That is the kind of low blow that people are prepared to go to make me realize that eventually things work out, Karabo. When we're children of God, we're people of a different status. The devil, the moment you get born again, does not leave you alone. So we don't get to just make mistakes in this world and be left alone to thrive in them, left alone to survive in them. It's unbelievers that are left alone to have their mistakes not turn out so bad in the end. With us, the devil will magnify it and magnify that mistake and magnify it some more until it becomes the thorn in your flesh, the bane of your existence forever and ever. The devil hates people, especially when they're Christian. So whatever mistake or decision to settle or compromise that I would walk in today, based on my 39 years of age, understand they are not going to bear the same kind of consequences that you, who is an unbeliever, are going to experience. The devil largely leaves unbelievers alone because you're going to hell anyway. But with us, yes, like it, just for the sake of messing with our testimony, just for the sake of making sure that we cannot reach anyone for Jesus, just for the sake of basically making war with those who have inherited eternal life while he lost his. He will make the one mistake that a Christian makes the bane of that Christian's existence well into the future. It's just wise to do what is right, but especially when you're in Christ, or do not drop the ball. That much more feverish for answered prayer do we become after waiting for very many years. I have been waiting on the Lord for a husband for 13 years since my last relationship, and I've been waiting on the Lord for deliverance from persecution for 10 of those 13 years. Just because I've been waiting all that time for all those things to come through does not mean I'm tired of waiting. It means I am ever more expectant, precisely because of the travesty and the abomination it would be to God for me to drop the ball now after all these years, after all this waiting. I'm not about to have a very exasperated nanny walk my children to a public clinic because I decided to have a child anyway without a job, without stability, with some dude that I can't even trust is going to be around. I told you I never used to date the kind of guys that would have skipped town after I mentioned that I'm pregnant. But now that I'm in Christ, more so will the devil give me that level of low blow of a man. You need to understand. More so will the devil make me meet some random dude in these streets that will dote over me, wine and dine me, and then make like a bullet as soon as I mention that I'm pregnant. Imagine being walked away from at the age of 40 by a man. You're like 19 or 20 or teenage pregnancy or something. Have a dude decide not to take care of some babies. Some baby that is in the stomach. Yeah, but at 40. I mean, the amount of trauma that I would feel at that juncture is ridiculous. On top of that, I've always had a thing about taking care of myself when I'm pregnant. I want to be able to buy all the different kinds of weird, random, strange oils I can get in these streets to protect me from getting stretch marks. All the massages I can get for my swollen feet. I want to be a pampered, pregnant lady. Do you understand? The way I'm so broke right now, that's like it, guys. Yeah, I would be, and I'm always hot because of the conditions I live in. I don't like being around my family because they're persecuting me. I would lack peace throughout that pregnancy. And yet people are telling me, just take whatever comes your way. They want to age me ever so suddenly, overnight, using pregnancy. Indeed, chances are, as soon as I have a baby, I'll probably start looking more my age. And I don't care to age either, insofar as I'm out here representing what it is that makes sense for a woman my age. I don't care, because one day I'm going to inherit an incorruptible body. But I have been maintained and preserved in my youthfulness largely because I've never had a baby before. So indeed, if I were to have a baby, I would likely start looking closer to my age. People want to get me to that place, but without things operating in the right order. I'm not to be married first, or if I get married, it must be anyone that wants to propose marriage to me. Just any random married dude that wants to divorce his woman for me, or any random baby daddy of 7, or any random unbeliever, just some strange proper. People call me fussy. I'm fussy. I'm sorry. I've been waiting for 13 years for a husband since I was 26. Last relationship that was stable that I was in was 13 years ago, and I was an unbeliever then. I have not been in a stable relationship that makes any sense at all as a Christian. 13 years of celibacy, and I must just take anything as I am going after all that time of waiting. I'm sorry. Patience and fortitude makes it all the while. It makes it worth the while when there is ultimately tranquility and peace in the acquired provision. There is no peace or tranquility in giving birth to a baby in a public hospital with a baby daddy that does not even know where his next salary is coming from, without being on medical aid, and within and of myself lacking comfort or peace about the future, and so suffering severely from postpartum depression. There ain't no peace in that. But trust me, if I were to walk down the aisle to a man that loves the Lord, and the two of us have a baby, that pregnancy is going to run smoothly, swimmingly. I will likely get all my feet massages as I desire them. I will also be able to see my OBGYN in a private facility, the OBGYN of which, if at all I am struggling with something at home, I might even be able to call them for a home visit. I need that kind of pregnancy. And there is no way under heaven I'm going to get it hastily rushing to just get impregnated, seeing as I've got this geriatric womb at 39. I will not do it. I will not do it. I'm suffering the way that I'm suffering right now with all of this demonic attack because people are trying to tell me that, just like that chick advised me, girl, come on, you're 35 now, right? Back then I was 35, I'm 39 now. She probably would look at me today on some, well, I told you, just go and have a baby. Find a little Jomo in these streets and have him be your baby daddy. By now I'd have a 4-year-old kid if I had taken that woman's advice. And the baby daddy Jomo would likely be paying child support maintenance, or maybe I'd be living in some quaint little establishment with him as my baby daddy, married to a dude that is not at my spiritual level. Or maybe my mom out here still paying proper creche fees for my 4-year-old son or daughter. But I got a baby. Because I'm still suffering, am I not? I'm still going through what I'm going through, am I not? I still have my prospects for making money, and all the stuff that I've basically been waiting on the Lord for, they still appear to be kind of closed in, right? Only now am I getting breakthrough nyana of some sort. Some kind of a semblance of what looks like, I'm going to finally get an ability to make my own money. Only now. So all this time, I would have a 4-year-old that's been getting paid the way off by my mom, my baby daddy, maybe his grandmother from the side of the baby daddy and whatnot, while I, as the baby mama, am always just struggling in these streets. Oh, and another thing that also would have likely happened if I had allowed that to happen is that I would have allowed myself to end up working some stupid job that don't make sense just so I can take care of this child. And I would have also not been as vocal about my struggles and all the spiritual war that I'm making for the sake of protecting myself from all this occult attack, given that I'm a mother now. I can't be making no spiritual war with some random buffoons. I would have taken a lot more lying down. A baby would be used as a means to handle me by the kingdom of darkness. It would have been used as a means to make sure that I am kept in a bunch and I shut up. Because if you don't shut up, Karabo, we're gonna torture you with your baby. We're going to make your life a living nightmare. Now I have no one that I'm taking. I have no dependence. And so for those reasons, I can be as feverish as I want for Jesus and be as feisty as I want to be and make as much war as I want to make, with the only person facing threats as a result of all of that feverishness for Jesus Christ being me. But when you wait for the opportune time to be in the right space in Christ, to do what you need to do, that's when the Lord awards you peace. That's when he gives you still waters. That's when he refuses that the occult should wear you. Goodness gracious. The way I'm always so tired from demonic attack right now. There is no way, guys, that I would be able to take care of a husband or some children. But like, once my season of breakthrough comes, and the Lord is like, you have gone this far, no further, no more are you going to just afflict my child just because you can with random stupid headaches. Your spells will be thrown, woo, like little darts, flying from whatever directions you want to send them. And they will hit some kind of a force field, and I will be unimpacted. I will not be afflicted, even in the slightest. They will be sent, but they will not arrive at their destination. Your little guided missiles are going to be intercepted by God. But right now, I'm making war with the kingdom of darkness for the sake of snatching some even from the flames of hell and for my own sanctification. But once I'm out of this, like I said, force field, like I said, Iron Dome, something is going to be around me, making sure that as a 7-month-old pregnant woman, I'm not going to be suffering a severe headache that is induced by some stupid idiot that can't stand the fact that my husband and I are expecting. And so, just bombing Jefela everything. When you wait for the right environment to have what it is that the Lord will award you, you get ensconced by protection. All these other scenarios that can be fulfilled are like, they make the individuals in question like sitting ducks. You become like sitting ducks. Demonic attack from here to Timbuktu and like just voo, 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 like poison darts, always just like voo, voo, voo. When you have a child at a wedlock, poison darts, voo, voo, voo. When you get unequally yoked with an unbeliever, poison darts, voo, voo, voo. When you just do things the way you want to do them in Jepela, because you're impatient, voo, poison darts. But when you wait on the Lord, all of a sudden you are ensconced in protection. So I am basically receiving all the poison darts that I can take now before I am in a position to have any children, making sure that my kids don't get subjected to the tyranny of their mother's spiritual war. I'm making war with my own generational curses, and I'm making war with all this wickedness of entitlement around me. I'm making war with the kingdom of darkness in this country, and I'm making war with calls to embrace ancestors and all different kinds of other forms of spirituality, because Jesus is taking his merry time to deliver me. I'm making war with all that idolatry. And when I finally win this battle, all your poison darts are going to just disintegrate in midair before they get anywhere. I will no longer be subjected to all the spiritual attack that I actively feel. Once I get to a particular point, I'm finally going to be like other people, other normal human beings who are going through life as usual, and every so often they have spiritual war. They gotta fight as a family, they gotta pray. But this level of being inebriated with demonic attack, I'm sorry, that is coming to an end. But all of y'all that are busy involved in throwing poison darts at me, because I did not just marry some dude that was around anyway. He was here at the time when he proposed and I was ready, so I just took him. Or have a baby with some dude because I'm broody. And I realized that I'm not 32, I'm not 35, I'm 37. And so you just give a dude a baby. All of y'all that did that, you were hoping that I will eventually capitulate and settle because you did. And misery loves company. Misery loves company. Just like that chick that gave me that horrible advice telling me to have a baby, get a boyfriend, yana, a tap on yana in these streets and have a baby. Because she did it and it turned out alright. You're trying to look at me like, Karabo, I did and it turned out alright. Yeah, okay, it did turn out alright. But like, it was so hard, wasn't it? In the beginning, that little baby Lerato of yours, it was rough to get her taken to all the doctors she needed to see. In the beginning, it was rough to get her enrolled in a school. It was you couldn't even enroll her in the creche you wanted her to be enrolled in because you could not afford it. You had all these dreams, but you could not afford to. You could not afford to do a first birthday party for Lerato because you didn't have money. You were struggling. You were busy. Kukarang Lerato mo pepile, ko pre-taxi rank girl, because you didn't have your own car when the child was just 2 years old. Lerato is going to grow up and be a great lady one day, sure. Sure, indeed. But like, she will have been endured through a lot more than what was entirely necessary as a child because you were irresponsible enough to let a whole village raise your child when you could have basically garnered for yourself your own resources to make sure that you and your husband got this. You and your husband got this. Over my dead body when I will climb, get up Palama taxi, 7 months pregnant. And again, over my dead body when a domestic worker that doesn't have a driver's license is going to walk my vomiting baby to the clinic. And right now, I'm in a position to endure things like those. A car that packs up and so I gotta go somewhere. So I can combat taxi, or I can have enough petrol, but I've got enough coins for a taxi. So I can taxi 4, 5, 7 months pregnant. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I am not going to be giving birth to no baby in no public hospital. I am not going to be queuing in no public hospital when I've got like TB, when I've got a cough, when I've got pneumonia. I gotta go and queue a Helen Joseph. Like right now, I'm always panicking whenever I feel even a small fever. Whenever the other day I had a small little sore throat, and I was like, yes, like it, I get a medical aid. Guy. Medicross. Thankfully, in all this time, I have not had to go to a public hospital. The one time that I came down with some kind of a cough infection situation in my chest. My mom paid for me to go to Medicross, but it took 3 days for her to realize that my cough was out of hand. In the first few days, she basically gave me her cough mixture. And when the cough mixture did nothing, then she was like, oh, I have to take out imali for her to go to Medicross. Thankfully, she allowed me to see a private physician. That's what's good. Thankfully. But even then, she didn't get all my prescription. Certain things she left out because, money was an issue. Understand that if it was not for my mother, that cough, I would have either passed away from it, getting to full-blown pneumonia or whatever, or I would have had to go like go Helen Joseph. I would have had to do that. Because I'm not a medical aid. So my health means the world to me right now. I have got to be healthy. I cannot have anything go wrong. I can't have a toothache. And by the amazing grace of God, none such issue has happened over 10 years of suffering. I have not had medical conditions that require me to be hospitalized or to go and see some specialist or whatever. Nothing. And then I go and I fall pregnant in that state. Pregnant, yonk. A whole baby growing in my body. Go and create that situation out of my what? Get a toothache because I can't see a private dentist. I have not even seen a dentist in all of these years. I'm concerned about cavities in my teeth. I can only see a dentist as soon as I get my own life back together again. The Lord has preserved me, made sure that everything of mine is kept in a neat little bunch because He knows my qualms with all this public healthcare nonsense. I can't. Angwaz. And then you want me to put myself in a position to grow another human being in my body before I am able to even send myself to a dentist, send myself back to the orthodontist to fix my one tooth that's gone skew. Ever since my wiring got cut once upon a time, I have not been able to get anything of mine checked out. I cleared my own acne, crying to God that I want to see a dermatologist. And upon experimenting trial and error over and over again with products from Chinatown, I finally cleared my acne. But I'm still dealing with the hyperpigmentation that is fading right now, and that's taking its merry time. Yeah. It would have been so much easier to go and see a dermatologist, but I can't. But people want me to go and right ahead with those kinds of living conditions. A whole bambino, a whole baby with some teponyana in these streets, all cute, all mohoto, all fang bana babang babantle. Marabato sokolang in the first 5 years of their life. I'm sorry, no. Ain't no child of mine gonna be chilling on my lap while I am sitting in a hospital where I am sleepy like no man's business. Queuing for 3 hours before I see a nurse, never mind, a doctor, the nurse of which is going to insist that I did not fill something out in my form. No, hide it, buddy, I'm not doing that. Yes, some of y'all have gone through that and your kids came out alright. You also ended up getting that job that you wanted. You finally got your car. You finally, when your kid was like 7 years old, finally, he got put on medical aid. Finally. Mara in the run-up too. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. Ain't no kid of mine getting born like anywhere other than in a private hospital unless it's on an aeroplane. Pregnancy. You get my point. I am not doing it. I have experienced from the vantage point of being the child of a mother that doesn't have much what it's like to just keep on getting like blazing 34 degrees Celsius outside, vomiting to a clinic because your domestic worker, yourself, is only human and can't keep on carrying a child for 3 kilometers on her back. No, I've experienced it firsthand. I will never forget that experience. I will never forget my green and yellow vomit. Literally, it's like I was Hansel and Gretel, the vomit version, on the way to the clinic. Hansel and Gretel keep on vomiting, green vomit, yellow vomit, all the way up until the clinic. You could tell that Karabo fitilemo, my DNA all go throughout Gladi until we got to the clinic. I'm not about to let that be my child. Hansel and Gretel, that's right. It's alright. People, y'all need to wait on the Lord because it just makes sense. It's just basic common sense. It just makes sense. Like literally, there is nothing. Like when you insist on waiting on God, things just work out. Your babies get born in a private hospital on medical aid. That's what happens when you wait on Jesus, because he makes sure that izinto zakho in order by the time you are entered into a particular environment. You're not going to make me deliver a baby in a private hospital that's going to discharge me while my stitches are fresh. That's not happening. I'm not doing what my cousin did. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So if you want to threaten me with like sex toys, the prospect of me ending up pleasuring myself in the future, do you? I keep seeing these things in dreams and visions. Bottom line is, one day you are going to be humiliated with your persistences. Right now you are slapping me with this like hard knock headache. You keep on trying to foster me to do things that you did in the Kingdom of Darkness, trying to get me to join the occult, to consult Songomas, to take somebody on Shapilenga Korobela, because at least it's something yana. I'm sorry, I'm going to cure. I'm going to get healed from this very demonic attack that I'm enduring right now. Following which you're going to probably slap me with another one later on, until I'm so broken through that now no longer are all of your spells ever going to work again. But as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord so that our children are all on medical aid. Is that basic? So that our children never ever know what it's like. It takes nje enuga amakwapa nebaji izolo. Abantu that you don't understand kancha ukuthi baphume hwe yeah abazothinta mina abantwana bami emateksini angizi akesibhayi hako reka digrozana ka taxi ehle. I'm sorry guys, right now kolwaka it's a mess. It could pack up anytime now. So basically you're putting me in a position mina ukuyogibela taxi. You're putting me in a position mina ukuyothenga amagroza ngamateksi. I'm sorry, I've been through that life. I've experienced it in the earlier stages of my mom growing up. Rea go is gate, reka di groza ka fela, re di go booting a taxi, and then walk with them, the plastic grooving into our fingers every so often, putting them down just to relax, and then re ke happy walking in the blazing sun because we had to buy groceries in a taxi. Nakona, if you're gonna buy groceries with taxis, you can't buy everything you want. Why? Because of the fact that you're gonna be walking in the blazing sun. Lebalanka ice cream. Dream on about ice cream. No, I'm sorry guys. I'm not about to go and put myself through the lifestyle of a child growing up in the late 80s. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Late 80s, early 90s, before my mom finally got herself a little Hyundai. Yeah, then only was I in a car. Then only could we buy the groceries that also have ice cream in them. Then only. I'm not doing it. Just because my mama didn't doesn't mean I have to do it. I learned lessons from my mom. I'm not about to do it. You put me in poverty, and for as long as I'm in poverty, ain't no child popping out of my stomach. Get that. I'm sending out in Christ's name, Crank. Peace.